What is the correlation between the inner child and emotional eating? Welcome to FitByFood, where we outsmart binge eating without restriction. In this video, I will talk about the inner child and how it correlates to emotional eating. You might know what the inner child is. It's a psychological concept of our past experiences accumulated to a very helpless, disempowered version of ourselves. You can think of it as all your past memories from when you were a child to maybe teenage years, when you were really in life with a trial and error period, when you were conditioned into how to fit into society. This part of you is not super equipped yet, and you're very malleable. You're still in training to become a civilized person. This part of you wants to fit in, wants to be accepted by your outside environment. Your identity is still not very solid, and you're very vulnerable. We can come in contact with this energy if we think of a past version of ourselves that was humiliated. Maybe you have something from school when you were like in a classroom and you said some answer wrong to a question and your classmates laughed at you. Then you get in contact with this feeling of like wanting to hide, feeling vulnerable, feeling exposed, feeling wrong, feeling rejected. This is the inner child's wounding. This is the shadow side of the inner child, because we also have the inner child as someone that is very expressive and talks from their essence, is really creative and lively, but has this part of wounding where they feel shame. So our inner child is really the child version of ourselves, the very fragile core from when we were a child, literal child, to when we get into adulthood. Why we call it inner child is because we can get in contact with this if we think about a memory. If we think about a memory, the memory will come up in our body and we will remember as if it was happening right now. This means that the inner child, your memories, your associated memories, can come up to the surface. And this happens a lot. You can get triggered by your outside circumstances. Something reminds you of a past version of you. Let's take the classroom example. Maybe you're now an adult and you are in a conference meeting and your boss asks for opinions and he asks you directly. Maybe that circumstance, you sitting with your colleagues, awakes that feeling of when you were answering in the classroom, and that creates feelings in your body of nervousness, feelings of anxiety in your body, because your body remembers your past experience, and maybe your mind is not up to date that this is what's happening, because the mind is busy of thinking of how should I answer. So the body is stuck in that past memory, feeling the old feelings, but your mind is still in the present, trying to think of the future, of how you should be answering in this present moment. So there's a disconnect. You feel nervousness and you feel like your mind is like going like crazy, like thinking of what you should say. This is a survival mechanism. The body's stuck in the past. It wants to tell you that this we've experienced before, it's not safe, and your mind is trying to come up with a solution to the problem. Your conscious mind, thinking of a solution, does not realize that the body is still in the past. So it becomes annoyed at the body. It feels like, okay, why do I have to be anxious right now? This doesn't help. But the body is triggered. This is your inner child at work. Your adult self is trying to help you in a very harsh way, maybe, because it's not giving acceptance to the body for being nervous, and just trying to solve the problem with harshness. In this example, if someone were to be very experienced with the concept of the inner child, they would be aware that, okay, now I feel a very huge reaction to this situation that doesn't really make sense. So I must be stuck in the past. There must be something underneath the surface. So that would make that person think that maybe I should slow down. Maybe I should not push myself, and maybe I should try to compose myself. Maybe this person, if they had a lot of different tools, they can use their breath to calm down the body. They could think compassionate thoughts, and they could check in what is the most loving response I could do right now in this moment. This is very different than someone that just gets annoyed at their body and tries to push through. You can see how one creates with time a trust between the body and the mind, and one creates just a bigger separation. Understanding this concept helps you open up a whole new inner landscape to integrate the past versions of yourself that didn't get met in the right way. We can do this in a variety of ways. The job meeting was just an example of how you can, in real time, change your patterning from harshness towards more self-compassion. And this doesn't happen overnight, because if you've had a whole lifetime of just pushing through and telling your body to strengthen up and just keep going, it will be some time before you regain some sense of trust. Like any relationship, it needs time, it needs you to show up. But having this concept, the inner child, opens up a whole new world, really. You can start to do exercises and shadow work, which is basically self-reflection. So you start to understand your own internal way of functioning. You get more awareness of how you work. Because this scared and overwhelmed part of yourself, you will never get away from. It will always be there. And pushing it down will not make it disappear. You know this, that's why you're still overeating. And overeating is a way of self-soothing that overwhelming feeling. It is a coping mechanism from your inner child. You reach a peak of overstimulation, really. You get stressed. And then you feel so many emotions that you just have to have some release. And then you reach for food, because it will distract you for a few minutes. And then if you also add on to that you watch something on Netflix or YouTube and binge eat, you reality escape on multiple levels. Maybe you even don't remember your own life, your own body. You're just consuming material. Your awareness becomes hijacked. You forget your problems for a while. But the problems still lie there. Eventually you will have to come back to your own life, and you procrastinated the feelings, and maybe they will build up again more and more and more. You will feel more guilt, so more anxiety, and then you want to binge again. And like you hear, it's a very vicious cycle. The solution is to meet your inner child. Build up the trust. You do this, like I mentioned, shadow work, giving really time and seeing your inner child like if it was a real child. Really picturing it outside yourself is a great way to get compassion towards yourself. Eventually you can work on getting more ways to regulate yourself when you feel overwhelmed. There's a variety of ways to do this, and this is all about habits. You need to have more everyday activities than just something that reality escapes. For example, if you get home from work and you always go to the TV, then this is your habit. This is how you decompress. Maybe your mind wants to relax. It doesn't want more stimulation. And maybe your body also wants to just be in peace. So start to exploring different alternative ways of decompressing in the end of the day. Like meditation. There's guided meditations if it's really hard for you to sit down in silence. You can listen to 5 or 10 minutes guided meditation every day after work, and it can do wonders. Just imagine having that 5 or 10 minutes every day after work compared to nothing. Obviously it will help you You just have to do it consistently. To really open up to new habits, you can compromise with the parts of you that believe that food and TV is the only thing that will help. This part is convinced because it is the only thing it has known and it has worked a bit before. In order to be open to trying new alternative ways, we can start to try to experiment. We can tell the part of ourselves that really wants to watch TV and eat, we can say, okay, we will do that, but first we're going to do 5 to 10 minutes of guided meditation. And another great way to start to compromise with these parts of yourself is to stretch a bit or work out while you're watching TV. Just incorporate the things, the habits that you want to add into your routine that you think will help you. Just meet the part of you that has resistance because it doesn't trust the new habits. Just meet it with some compassion. Say that we will still do what you want to do, but we'll do this first. And when you do that continuously, it will start to realize that this new habit will actually help you. It might actually still the feeling of worry a bit more than TV watching. And then you start to realize that there are alternative ways of self-soothing. There are other different coping mechanisms. Exactly this is the strategy that we use at FitByFood. We keep the coping mechanism of overeating, but we switch up the food items. We biohack the body to weight loss by understanding how nutrition works. We focus on a plant-based, high-carb, low-fat diet, and we binge on those foods. They contain a lot of volume and not that many calories. What this does inside the body is that it fills up the stomach, so the body believes that it's super full. You get that full feeling that you get after binging, but you will not get as many calories. Eventually this will lead you to your ideal weight. It's like you're tricking this self-sabotaging coping mechanism. You still keep the coping mechanism, you compromise in that sense, but you choose different food groups. You will get satisfied on all planes because the food is also very tasty. And you keep the coping mechanism and you lose weight. There's really no way to not succeed in this lifestyle. I educate you on this, how it works. I also give you so many practical tips on the module 1 at getfitbyfood.com. The first module has 40 lessons to give you knowledge, to share with you the insights that I've gotten from my bachelor's degree in nutrition, but also my own exploration of nutrition and biology. On top of that, I also give you so many practical tips on how to switch over to this diet. There's recipes, there's a snacking guide with over, I think, like 50 recipes on how you can feel satisfied when going over to this new food sources. So check that out if this resonates and you're willing to try a different approach. So thank you for watching and subscribe for more content on this subject. And remember, it is possible to get fit by food.